Welcome to episode 105 of the Loane Hockey Podcast. And today I want to talk about actually a game that's going on right now. It's the only game of Monday night going on right now between Tampa and Toronto. And I wanted to talk about some standouts that's far from that game. And obviously it's still going on and it's midway and towards the end of the second period right now with the Leafs up 5-1. It's been dominant performance. And they actually just pulled Vasilevsky on Tampa's side to put in Jonas Johansson. And it's been an interesting season to start for Tampa Bay and Toronto, same thing as well. They're looking to be a little bit more consistent in their play. And they've had a really dominating effort this far in this game in terms of their overall play. And obviously, Austin Matthews, I think he's been the biggest standout in this game. And William Nylander, two guys who have really stood out this game. Nylander in terms of points because he's got 2 goals and assists for 3 points right now, and Matthews just for positional play instincts. He's gotten a goal in the game right now, and he stood out in that sense. He stood out. He's always stood out for his goal scoring and his ability to score in many different ways. But with Nylander, he's a guy that has some style, some flair to his game, and obviously he's blossomed as an elite player in the league now. He can score 40 plus goals. He can hit around 100 plus points. He was an NHL All-Star last year. He's finally getting the recognition he deserves because he's such an elite player, such a phenomenal player for so long. And he's become one of the elite superstars in the league and a really key component to this team because now he has the ability to drive play in his own way. When he was starting his career, I remember he was trying to feed off guys and trying to be a complement to his line, but now he's an actual play driver in his own line, which is really impressive, especially for wingers, because usually the center's the play driver on the forward line, but with Nylander being a winger and being a play driver at the same time, that's really key component for the Leafs and how they're able to execute in terms of their style of play in general. And Nylander's a guy you notice him all across the board. You notice him offensively, you notice him off the rush, you notice him in transition offense scenarios, you notice him and how he's able to cycle the puck. And his puck possession ability is second to none. He's really elite at handling the puck in many different circumstances and many different spaces. And he's really good at being able to maintain his head up with the puck on his stick as well. He thrives in any situation where he has the puck on his stick. Simple as that. He's a guy that you want to have in those key offensive scenarios all the time. And he's an elite player. He's a dominant threat in any single situation, and he's really fun to watch. Max Domi's been an interesting one and very physical throughout this game thus far. He's always been physical ever since joining Toronto, and that's he's had a reputation for being a physical player, but also a very skilled player and undersized, but it doesn't matter because he competes, he wills, he's relentless to the puck, and he's relentless on his checks. And he's a guy that's never gonna back down from anyone, no matter who you are, no matter what size you are and what stature you are, he's gonna try and fight and compete every single shift. And Domi's a guy I always like to watch based on his compete level, his tenacity, his relentless pursuit of pucks, and he's had that skill in the past where he can score 70 plus points a season or be a near point per game guy. And he's had that ability in his game, which is really unique because of a player of that caliber to have that skill, that high end skill, and also have that high end checking ability is really interesting for an undersized player, especially because we could talk about players who are really skilled and really good checkers and they have size, but Domi's quite the opposite, where he doesn't have a ton of size, but he has both. And he arguably is elite when he's at his best, arguably. So he's a guy that stood up this game thus far. 1 assist for him thus far. And Mitch Marner's been really good. You notice him all the time. I don't notice him as much as a playmaker, or excuse me. I don't notice him as much as a goal scorer. I notice him a lot as a playmaker. And that's the biggest standout when it comes to this game. You could talk about his playmaking all day, how he's able to see lanes, how he's able to use his vision, his spinorama ability, how he's able to manipulate checks, manipulate feet, that type of thing with his playmaking. So all across sport, he's been really good. Two guys who've been playing up and down the top nine and middle six for the Leafs, Bobby McMann and Max Pacioretty have been really good. Max Pacioretty's been really good since joining the Leafs ever since he joined out of PTO, and that turned into a 1 year deal under $1 million, which is a really good deal, prove it deal essentially. And Pacioretty's gelled seamlessly. Bobby McMann having another really good year to start. I like his game as a checker. I like his game in terms of tenacity. He's a really good and really solidified bottom six style player slash bottom nine style player who can fill that role, fill a lot of different voids, and he's a threat all over the ice. So player that you want to have in defensive situations for sure. And then for the Leafs side, because we're only going to talk about the Leafs, I haven't really noticed many guys on Tampa, and Tampa's been taking a lot of penalties. They've had power play opportunities, but their power play has not clicked, and they haven't been a fun team to watch this game. But we'll talk about one more from the Leafs, and that's John Tavares. And John Tavares has an assist in this game. He's been really good. And you notice him score. You notice him as a scorer, as a playmaker, how he's able to make plays in many different situations. And he's a dual threat type of guy who can generate offense efficiently, and he uses hockey sense quite well. Actually, one more guy I'll talk about too, Simon Benoit. Very physical this game, and unfortunately, he had an own goal in this game where he slightly fell. He toe-picked, and then the puck went in the back of the net. I believe that was Nick Paul's goal for Tampa, which is the only goal of the game. And other than that, there really hasn't been that much going on for Tampa this game, which is really unfortunate for them. But Simon Benoit's been okay for the most part, like a guy who plays a shutdown game, a depth style defenseman who can play up and down your lineup when necessary, brings a little ruggedness, some old school physicality to his game, and a north-south style defenseman who's not much of a lateral playmaker. He doesn't really defend using forward skating. He's not the most superb skater, not the most superb lateral skater. But what I like about his game is that ruggedness because you need to have some of those defensemen, even if they're depth guys. Some of those defensemen do help. And I've emphasized quite a bit and quite often how I really like modern day defensemen more than any other style because it's just how the game is going nowadays. It's how the game is adapted to things. Is the modern day style defenseman is going to use forward skating angles, ability to manipulate the checking line, and they're able to understand angular play a lot better than past defensemen and old school style defensemen. And but Simon Benoit, you need some of those guys from time to time where they can play a checking role, they can play and have some of that ruggedness in their game. And the Leafs, they've been dominating thus far, and they'll look to continue to do that heading into the third period.